Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to everybody who's attending this afternoon. I want to introduce myself. My name is Nikki MacDonald, and I am the HOD for Certification and Standards at the Financial Planning Institute of Southern Africa. This week is Money Smart Week, and our presenter is going to tell you a little bit more about what that initiative entails. We are here this afternoon for consumer education purposes. So our lovely presenter, Amira Asvat, who is a certified financial planner, member of the FPI, will be presenting our financial or our consumer education workshop to you this afternoon. Now, this workshop was developed by FPI to address the issues with consumer education and financial literacy in South Africa. So it contains the basic elements of consumer education and what we think it's important for people to know to make an informed decision about their finances. This program is available through FPI to all our FPI members. So if you want to get involved with FPI on this program, contact us at mymoney123@fpi.co.za and we will get back to you with an answer. So, Amira, I am very happy to have you here and thank you for your time in spending with us this afternoon. I must say all our volunteers at FPI who assist us with this program do it on a pro bono basis. So we are always very happy to have our volunteers help us with this. Amira, I am not going to say anything else and take up your time. So over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nikki. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you to everyone for making the time to join us this afternoon for Money Smart Week in South Africa. My name is Amira Asvat, and I am honored to be presenting this for the FPI. If I'm going too fast, please just stop me, and then there will be time at the end of the presentation for questions and answers. But for now, I'm going to share my screen, and I am going to start with the presentation. Please just give me a heads up to let me know if you guys can see my presentation.
Yes, we can, Amira. You just have to put it in presentation mode.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So Money Smart Week South Africa is a financial literacy campaign aimed at motivating and empowering all South Africans to become more educated about their finances. It is an initiative of the National Consumer Financial Education Committee, coordinated by Multi-Stakeholder Steering Committee, and provides an opportunity for organizations and individuals to showcase their financial literacy programs and activities across South Africa by running various activations. Financial education raises awareness about responsible financial behavior, enabling individuals to make informed decisions and protect themselves from fraudulent activities. Furthermore, it fosters a culture of financial awareness, empowering individuals to ask questions, conduct research, and seek professional advice when navigating complex situations. I've been a part of the FPI for a few years now, and I am a volunteer registered with them. As Nikki has mentioned, we do this on a pro bono basis. I am very, very excited to be able to do presentations like this because I'm very pro financial literacy and try and assist wherever I can. So thank you to the FPI and to Money Smart Week South Africa for giving me this opportunity to present this. Please share your experience with us. You are more than welcome to open your camera and scan the QR code now. But I have also put this link in the comment section. So if you would like to do this afterwards, then I'll give you some time to do it afterwards as well.
Amira, sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
Just please put your presentation in presentation mode. It's at the bottom. Next one. Next one.
Oh, sorry.
There we go.
Sorry, I thought I clicked on it. Sorry.
No problems. Thank you.
Okay. So those of you who are CFPs or who know of certified financial professionals, you would know that life is better with the certified financial planner professional. We have taken the exams and we have written exams on this, and we are well qualified in terms of dealing with your finances. So where do you start? Yes, you can't always get what you want, but you might just get what you need. What are your goals? This is a nice way of setting out your financial goals. It has to be specific, it must be measurable, it can be achievable, it must be realistic, and it must be timely. So certified financial planner professionals can help you achieve all of this. One of the most important things when it comes to finances is a budget. So you can do your own budget. You know what your income is, you know what your expenses are. And if you need help trying to formulate this, you're more than welcome to contact any financial planner to assist you with this. Using your personal budget planner. This is to set up your monthly budget planner, your daily budget diary, an envelope to keep transaction slips, to obtain a bank statement. It'll take you about 30 minutes, and you can work in month 2 and beyond. So if you would like the workbook, please let us know so we can send it to you so that you can use it and you'll know how to do it. Another important aspect of finance is, how do I build my credit record? So a credit record is basically a record of how much credit you have. So that means the credit that you've taken out, whether it's to buy a house or to buy a car, or whether it's just a credit card that you're paying off. And that's the record that's what a credit record is. It's important to build up a credit record so that when you want to take out another bond or you want to buy your first house, people can see how you are able to pay off your credit. And you manage your credit record by managing your finances. So if you know that you need to pay X amount every month, you fit it into your budget, and that's how you'll be able to build up your credit record. Okay, there are different classifications for credit records. So according to how your credit record is and how you pay back money that you've borrowed, you will be rated according to these. So very poor means that you're high risk and people will expect problems when you repay credit. Poor is high risk and high proportion expected to have some serious problems when you repay your credit. If it's fair, you are a moderate risk client, and there's a small expectation for you to be able to repay your credit. Good means you've got low risk, and people will not expect you to have a lot of problems when repaying credit. And excellent is when you will have absolutely no problem in repaying your credit. Your financial building blocks. When it comes to dealing with debt, you get good debt and you get bad debt. So we're going to talk about this in a little bit more detail now. You know how much debt you have and you know what you owe. So debt installments are made up of the installment, which is the amount that you are paying for a specific product, the interest that is added onto it, and then the fees and the insurance that's added onto that, because that makes up the total debt installment. So it's not only the amount that you're paying for the product itself. Let's speak about cost of credit. If this laptop is 4,799 Rand as a cash price, If you paid off over 24 months at an interest rate of 16.8%, you are paying 156% more than what you would have paid if you had paid cash for it. And unfortunately, that is the cost of credit. This is another example where you are paying 164% more than what the actual price would be if you had paid cash. How to calculate the cost of credit? Take the installment and multiply it by the repayment term, and then you divide your answer by the purchase price of the item. And that will tell you how much more you are paying for the actual item. How to make sense of your debt? I think this is part of your this would be part of your budget. You write down what it is that you owe, the amount that you're owing, the interest rate, and then you'll be able to formulate the total amount of debt that you are paying. This will help you to see where you can resolve a lot of your debt. It can also help you to see where you can reduce debt and where you might be able to save money somewhere. Savings and investments. So we all know that South Africans are very poor at saving. Only 6% of South Africans can afford to retire comfortably, and that is a shocking statistic. The government has come out with a tax-free savings account, and that allows South Africans to save money tax-free in it. I think it's a good tool, and as CFPs and as financial planners, we ask a lot of people to save in there, especially for people who are not saving a lot or don't have a lot to save. With the minimum and the maximum investments that you allowed, I think it's a great tool that should be utilized by everyone who can afford to put, even if it's just a little bit of money in there, because you're not paying tax on the growth, you're not paying tax on the contributions. So that is a great way to start a savings plan. There's a lot of different savings and investment plans that one can look at. If you are a very low risk person and don't like to take risks, you can always put money into cash or into the bank, which won't give you a very high return. But remember, the higher the risk, the higher the return. Also, with time, if you're going to put money in somewhere and you want to build up an investment, you're going to have to leave it for some time. If you're going to put it in and take it out quickly, you're not going to give it a chance to be able to attract interest and to grow. If you look at this slide, if you look at the bottom one, that's the risk, and so it goes from low to high. So typically your cash and your savings would be a very, very low risk component, as well as bonds. Property starts to get a little bit risky, but if you move into shares and equity and into offshore investments, your risk becomes greater, but your return also becomes greater. So at the end of the day, it is entirely up to the individual to decide what type of risk they are willing to attract. As financial advisors, we use a risk profile questionnaire with every client that we see to. There's questions that need to be answered, and according to that, we can classify what type of a client you are in terms of your risk profile. The effect of compound interest. So this is what I was speaking about earlier when I said, if you put money in and you want to invest this money, depending on how long you want to invest in or how much money you want to have at the end of the term, that'll affect the time spent on the investment. So when we are quoting and you tell us you want X amount of money in 5 years' time, we find you a product where you can leave your money in for 5 years' time, and you will be almost guaranteed that amount, depending on the type of product that we put you in. If you give us a time limit and then you will take whatever is in there at the end of that, that's also fine. But compound interest works this way. So if you start investing 1,000 Rand for 10 years and you stop your investment, it will still grow, but only with what is left in there. But if you continue to contribute on a monthly basis, the interest will keep adding on to every amount that's added on, as well as what was previously in there. Let's talk about inflation. So inflation affects every country. South Africa's current inflation rate as of July was 4.7%. So this means that when inflation increases, we get to buy less goods with the amount of money, with the same amount of money. So in 2021, if 6 tons of baked beans cost you 50 Rand, in 2022, you'd only be able to get 5 tons of baked beans for that money. And in 2023, you'd only be able to get 3 tons. Understanding savings and investments. So like I said, that there's short-term, medium, and longer-term financial goals. So depending on what your financial goal is, we can help you achieve that goal. If you are looking for something short-term, such as an emergency fund, there's a different product for us to put your money in there instead of you wanting a long-term or a medium-term investment. So if you're looking to purchase a house in the next 10 years and you want to save money for that, the product that you would put your money in would be different from creating an emergency fund. When it comes to retirement, there are a few options. So retirement annuity is one of them. A retirement annuity is an investment tool where you save money every month, or you can put in a lump sum, but you will only be allowed access to that money when you turn 55 years old. And when you turn 55 years old, you will have access to 1/3 of the money, and the remaining 2/3 goes into buying you a living annuity, which you will then get money from every month in order to live off. So your retirement saving rates needs to ensure 75% of the replacement ratio. This is just something that we work on. It's not necessarily a hard and fast rule to say you've got to have this, but this would be a great scenario to have for when you do retire. Because when you do retire, then we find that majority of clients don't have a lot of debt to pay off. By then, most people have paid off their houses, they've paid off their cars, so they basically just need money to live off from. So if I can just summarize this, get your monthly budget in order. Try and see where most of your expenses are going. Try and see if you can cut down on some of those expenses in order to save some money or invest some money and put it away for either for a rainy day or for you to take a nice vacation, or whether you want to buy something in the future. And if you need any help with your budgeting or trying to reduce your debt or trying to improve your savings, whether it's your short-term, medium, or long-term goals, you're more than welcome to contact anyone at the FBI who will then put you into contact with a financial planner. For those who haven't considered estate planning, my first step for you would be to have a will in place. And for those who don't have a will in place, you are more than welcome to contact me to help you set up your will. We work with a company who do wills for free. So you're more than welcome to contact me and we can set up a meeting. A will is one of the most important documents that anyone can ever have, because when you die, that is the only piece of information that we're going to have in order to know what to do with your assets and with your finances. Some people think because they don't have assets, it's not necessary for them to have a will, especially for people with minor children. So for those who have minor children, you need to please make sure that you have your will in place so that your kids can be taken care of, and the money that you leave behind for your kids don't end up in the guardian fund, and that the money actually goes into a trust for them so that when they get of age, they are able to use that money for studies or for education or for whatever they need to use at that time. Adequate insurance cover. That would mean long-term insurance, and it would mean short-term insurance also. Short-term insurance is also important in terms of your car, your house, your business. So if you don't have that in order, maybe it's time to start thinking about it. Health insurance is another one. A hospital plan or a full-on medical aid, but that's another really, really important topic to cover. To those of you who would like to scan the QR code, you are more than welcome to do so now. However, I have left the link in the comment section. That brings me to the end of my presentation on behalf of the FBI, and we will now open the floor to questions to whoever wants to ask anything.
Amira, I see there is a hand up. Suraj, you're welcome to, I think you'll be able to unmute your mic. Let me see. There we go. Mira, if there is no questions, maybe you and myself can continue this conversation a little bit.
Yes, we definitely can.
Okay, so let's you started with budgeting.
Yes.
I think it's important if we look at specifically financial planning and financial management. I think your budget is the basis of your financial management. I don't think even our certified financial planners can't really do a proper financial plan unless they know what is going on in someone's budget and what the expenses and the income is. So what I can do is I can share the pages out of our workbook here. So maybe that can give our attendees a better idea of what a budget will look like. So Amira, I don't know if you maybe want to just chat through the different categories for budgeting, and then we've got the budget template as well as that expense tracking template in this workbook. So maybe that'll help the attendees online just to draft their own budget.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Nikki. So everybody will know what they spend their money on. You know what income you receive. So whether you are only receiving a salary or whether you're receiving a salary and rental income or whatever other income you are earning, you put that in first. And you add that up so you know exactly how much money you are getting in every month. Then you start with your expenses. So obviously some months you'll have more expenses than others for different reasons, but your general expenses every month. So you would know what you spend your money on every month, whether you've got specific debit orders that go off every month, how much you use for entertainment, such as movies or bowling or food. So that you would all know. And the budget is only going to work really well for you if you are honest and you put in the actual amounts that you use on there. So hopefully once you've got all your expenses in and you minus your expenses from your total income, the amount should be a positive amount. Otherwise, you are not managing your finances very well. So your income should always be more than your expenses. And whatever is left behind, then you can decide how you want to save it or how you want to invest it.
Yes, and then how to start a budget. We are going to send everyone who asked this workbook so that you can have a look at what it looks like. But I think this little piece of paper is very important. And I love what Amira said, the fact that you have to be honest with yourself. I did the same exercise a few months ago, and I was actually shocked to see how much expenditure there is in a budget that you don't even think about, because it's easy just to pay a subscription to something. And then you don't even realize at the end of the month how much money you've paid on, if you add Netflix and Showmax and all of those type of things. So by cutting one or two of those expenditures, it will help you get to a point where you've got more left at the end of the month to save. So this daily budget diary really is just for 1 month. Keep it up to date and record every purchase you make, every expense. Say what it was. I bought a 50 Rand coffee at Mug and Bean on my way to work. And you will very quickly see where your money is going. And it's also really sobering that when you look at these type of things, to see what you actually spend your funds on, because you think, why isn't there enough money left at the end of the month? And when you actually do the exercise line for line, that is what you will determine. I see there's a question from Bakkies that asks, what mistakes do young people make when budgeting? Amira, any ideas on an answer for that question?
So, Nikki or Bakkies, I think that the first mistake that people make is they're not honest on a budget. And they tend to leave out things that they don't think should be on there. So like Nikki says, if you're going to stop and buy a 50 Rand coffee on your way to work, whether it's every day or twice a week, and you're not going to put it in there because you don't think it's important, it's going to make a big difference to your budget. So I think that number one. Number two, I think people tend to leave out some expenses if they're not paying it every month. So yes, your set debit orders will obviously be in your budget because that's something that's always on the back of your mind. But if you tend to leave out certain things that you're not paying for every month, that can also make a difference to it, because it's something that you're not thinking of all the time, and you might not be budgeting for it. I think that would be it. Or maybe even if you're getting income from an investment, or if it's dividends from somewhere, or if you're getting income from, you've got a side job, and you might not be adding all that income in. That would also play a big role, because your income amount wouldn't be the correct amount that was stated.
Yes, Amira, and I also think it's important that when you do this budgeting exercise, like you said, budget for the once-off expenses. So it looks like, I have to service my car once a year that I have to pay for. But if I don't put it in the budget in the beginning of the year and make sure that I've got enough money when I get to the month where I actually have to service my car, I'm obviously going to be in a budget deficit. And this is where something like an emergency fund is so, so important. And not just for quick ones-off expenses, but also we know what happened during COVID, where many, many people were retrenched, lost their jobs, couldn't be paid more for months on end due to whatever reason or whatever problems their employers had. And your emergency fund is really your buffer to ensure that you can keep your lifestyle, or at least your expenses, intact when something happens to you. Now, in line with what we've discussed there, we've got, and I'm once again sharing from the workbook that we will mail, is what the difference between simple interest and compound interest are. So if you look at simple interest, And there's a little calculation that you will be able to read in detail. And I think this is something when it comes to saving that is really, really important. And also when comparing results for different investment products, just to make yourself aware of exactly what you're going to receive, is simple interest is paid once on the principal amount at the end of the term. No previously earned interest are considered. So to illustrate this, let's look at an example of a fixed term investment of 100,000 over 5 years if you get a 10% simple interest return. If you go and then do the calculation, you will see that the bank will pay you 10,000 Rand on interest at the end of the first year, then again at the end of the second year, up to the last payment. So in total, you would have earned interest of 50,000 Rand on the amount, okay? If you, however, go to compound interest, that means you earn interest on interest. So depending on when the interest compounds, because it can be annually, it can be monthly, it can even be daily, depending on the type of product you're invested in, you earn interest on the interest that you earn. So if you look at year one, for example, in here, you also earn a 10% income or a 10% interest rate on 100,000 Rand, but it's compounded. You will see that in year one, you earn 110,000 or you have 110,000. In year two, it's a little bit more. But in year five, you would have earned 61,051 Rand in interest. So when you have a look at a savings product, make sure that you understand whether that interest that you're going to be earning, and I know the banks love to do this and make you a little bit confused in certain places, and the interest rate looks really good, but it might be that you will earn that interest over a time of 2 years, or it might not be compounded, or the one is a compound interest rate and the one is not. So make sure that you understand exactly what type of interest rate you're going to earn if you invest in these type of products. So, Amira, I don't know if you want to add anything there.
Thanks, Nikki. Yes, just to add on what you said, it is very important to know how the interest is compounded and the term as well. There's a lot of financial institutions that advertise products to say, we'll give you back X amount or X percentage after 5 years, but they don't read the fine print. So that sometimes it could mean that they haven't, the amount that they're giving you, or the percentage that they're giving you, doesn't include fees in there. It doesn't include anything else in there. They're just giving you the nominal amount, and that's not always a true reflection of what you are going to earn at the end. So people are going to think, okay, I'm going to invest money for example 5 years in this institution, and they said I'm going to get 13% back after 5 years on the amount that they're putting in. That is not always the case. That's why it's always very important, and it's very necessary to chat to someone about it before you go ahead and you invest in products like that. You can speak to the people at the financial institutions, ask them to give you a breakdown of it, because when you look at it, you're going to see that you're not actually going to get the 13%. You're only going to end up getting possibly half of that, and that's not always a great thing. So if you think that you're going to be earning 13% on an investment after 5 years, and now you're suddenly earning 6% on it, you might change your mind. So it's always very, very important to read the fine print, to make sure that you understand what product you're entering into, how much you're actually paying for it, and what your return is going to be at the end.
Perfect. Then, Amira, let's have a conversation about financial planning and the value of financial planning, because now consumers are asking us, okay, but this is an extremely difficult minefield to wade through. I mean, how do I determine, as someone who knows nothing about finances, what I need, how to save my money, what I need to do? I mean, the amount of information is just absolutely overwhelming out there. So how does a financial advisor or financial planning assist you in navigating this extremely difficult area in your own life?
So financial planner is going to break down the different aspects of your finance life for you. So in terms of estate, in terms of retirement, in terms of savings, that's what we break it down into, and then we focus on each one separately. So we're going to look at your savings first. We're going to look at your estates. We're going to look at your retirement. We're going to look at your life cover. We're going to look at all the different segments specifically, and then we put it all together. A lot of people don't have a need for every single one of the components, or they might, but they might not be able to always afford to look at everything together. So that's why you won't just see your financial planner once and then never again. Financial planners see their clients at least once a year. So we have to see our clients at least once a year. And then obviously, as and when you need to see your financial planner, you'll make an appointment with them to say, this is what's happening in my life. This is what I need help with. But that's how we look at it. So we don't look at everything together. So one of the first things that we do look at, Nikki, is looking at a budget first to see how much money you actually have to be able to spend on a product should you need it. So if you don't have a retirement annuity, for example, we look at everything separately, and then we see what is the most important. So if you don't have life cover, but you've got a big estate, that is one of the main things that we're going to look at first, because in the unlikely event that you die suddenly, how is your estate going to be funded? What's going to happen to your dependents? So we look at every aspect, and then we take it from there, and then we see which is the most important. So if you do have your life cover in place, but you don't have a retirement annuity, and you're left with quite a bit of money after your expenses have been paid from your income, then we would look at putting some money into retirement for you. And then if you have some money left, then looking at putting it into savings. But with every client, and this is what I love about being a financial planner, is that every client is different. Yes, you might have the same needs or similar needs, but every client's scenario is completely different. And we take each client and we look at each client and we deal with each client on their own and according to what their specific needs are. But also a client can come to us and say, look, I only have this specific need. I don't want to look at anything else, or all my other affairs are in order. I only want to look at savings for 5 years for education for my child, for example. So then we can do that also, where we only look at a specific need and then we address that specific need.
There's a comment, and I absolutely agree with it. There's so much desperation and suffering out in the real world, and more so with a high unemployment rate, so that people are just trying to survive. And we do know that the financial advice and the financial planning is not available to everybody, and that there's not always space for budgeting. But this is exactly where something like a good financial, not even a proper financial plan, but just good financial literacy can make a difference. And I am going to tell you, before we move on to the 6 steps of financial planning, I think I can address this by telling a story. We have currently got candidates who are studying financial planning, who we're assisting with via bursaries and stipends. And most of these candidates come from areas that have in the past been neglected. They come from circumstances that it's not been ideal. And one of these candidates are the first in her family to further her tertiary education. And she's going to be the first graduate, or she is already the first graduate in a family. And the reason why we gave her the bursary was because she had to write a motivation about financial planning. And her motivation included something like, my dad had a life policy that was supposed to fund my education. But because of issues in the budget and the fact that he couldn't afford it, he cancelled that life policy. And then he passed away without the life policy. She is of the opinion that there could have been concessions made in certain areas to try and keep that life policy going, and that would have changed the entire course of her studies. Luckily, this person had the chance that she got a bursary, but something and one of our corporate partners said this a while ago, a life policy can change the trajectory of an entire generation. One life policy that pays out if someone passes away. So yes, there's an enormous need in South Africa where people can't even budget because they don't have enough to get through in a month. But there are also an entire generation of people who do not have the financial literacy, who's never had to budget, who didn't learn it from their parents, like many of us do. And we need to be able to educate in order to be able to uplift. And I think that is what we are trying to do. Now, the reason why we're also talking about financial planning and the reason for financial advice from FPI's side is because although a full onset financial plan drafted by a professional certified financial planner is not always available to everybody, you need to know enough so that you do not get in trouble with things like scams, so that some of these financial companies who phone you over the phone and say, listen, I can double your money within 2 months, you don't fall for that. So it's not just for people who have got loads of money, it is also for the everyday person who is earning a salary and making financial decisions. So just from FBI side, that's the way we approach this. And I think it is still important. And I think what is more important, and Amira, maybe you can chat through the 6 steps of financial planning just to explain exactly what and this is not just financial planners, any financial advisor is supposed to do, because this is codified in the FISA Act, in the Code of Conduct. Okay, so I'm sharing this.
Nikki, I just wanna go back to something that you said. So yes, with that girl, it is really unfortunate that the life policy didn't pay out. There could have been a lot of things that could have been changed. We could have decreased the life cover to make the premium a little bit more affordable for the dad to have been paying it. There's also a lot of other concessions that could have been made, like you said. A financial planner is somebody that is available to everyone. So I can tell you that within the company that I currently work for, none of the advisors charge a fee to see clients. The only charge that they have is the commission on the product that will be taken out by the person when they decide to take it out. So, and I know a lot of financial planners do work the same way. There are a few who do charge an upfront fee or a fee for the advice. But there are a lot of financial planners who don't charge any fees. So you can contact an advisor and you can say, I need to come and see you. I need to talk about my finances. And a lot of them will be able to see you without a consultation fee.
Thank you, Amira. So let's chat about the 6 steps of financial planning and what you can expect from your financial advisor. Will you take us through it?
Yes, I will definitely take you through it. Okay, so there's 6 steps of financial planning. The first one is establishing and defining a professional relationship. So you will meet your client. Either it's going to be a referral, or the client is going to contact you and say, I need a financial planner, and I came across your details. And then you're going to just establish a relationship. You're going to get to know the advisor is going to get to know you. Then you're going to move on to step number 2, which is gathering your data and including your goals. So the financial advisor is going to ask the client a whole series of questions. There'll probably be a couple of forms to fill in, just so that the advisor can get to know what is it that the client wants. Where is the client sitting in terms of finances? What are his or her goals? And how are they going to be able to manage this? Number 3 is analyzing and evaluating your financial status. So this is where a budget is going to come in. The financial advisor will typically ask for your list of assets and liabilities, whether you've got insurance already, whether you've got investments, or whatever it is that you have. And this is going to help the advisor to make better decisions for the client in terms of where to put the money, what is the most important need, what is the goal, and can they help this client to achieve the goal? Okay, step number 4 is developing and presenting financial planning recommendations. So this is where the advisor would go back and say to the client that he's looked at, or he or she has looked at the entire portfolio. They have looked at what they have, they looked at what they don't have, and they've come out with a list of what they think the needs are. And from there, they will then say, this is what we recommend you to do. So remember, a financial advisor can never force a client into doing something that they don't want to do or that they're not comfortable with doing. So typically what would happen is if a client needed life cover, for example, the advisor would get a whole list of quotes from different companies and then present it to the client and show them the different options that there are. And then the client will then make the decision on which one to take. We'll then move on to step number 5, which is implementing the financial planning recommendation. So this means that the client will then come back and say, I have decided to go with company A for this reason, and let's put it into place. The client will then state that they are going with the, so obviously the advisor will give a recommendation, and then the client will say whether they accept the recommendation or not. A client is never ever forced to go with a recommendation by the financial advisor, although it is the most it is the possibly the best decision, because the advisor would have looked at all the different options and have come to a decision based on the client's specific needs and specific criteria. And then the advisor would then say, I recommend company number A to you for this, and this reason. The client, majority of the time, our clients do go with the financial advisor's recommendations. There is the anomaly where the client says, I don't want to go with that because either they don't like company A for specific reasons, or whatever their reason is. But all of that is stated in a record of advice, which is which is probably the most important piece of compliance. Because that is the discussion between you and your client, and that is what states they have agreed to go with your recommendation, or they have not agreed to go with your recommendation for reasons that are listed in there. It is both signed by the client and the advisor. The client keeps a copy of it, as well as the advisor. And then you come to the last step, which is monitoring the financial planning recommendations. So this is where now, after your plan has been implemented, so for example, you have decided to take out the life cover, and a year down the line, your advisor will contact you to say, I'm just checking in. It is time for your review. This is what we discussed the last time. Are you still happy with it? Would you like to change anything in your portfolio? Have any of your circumstances changed? So, for example, if a client was single and they got married, things would change. If a client had a baby, things would change. So the advisor will always check in with the clients to see what has changed in their life. And this typically happens every year. But obviously, the client can make contact with the advisor if anything has changed in that year. So 2 months down the line, after you take out your policy, if you decide you are now going to immigrate or something drastic has happened in your life, then the client contacts the advisor and says, this is what's happened. If they need, if something has to be changed or amended, then they will do that. And then the whole process will just go from there. So the client will speak to the advisor, and then recommendations will come along, and then implementation, and then you'll just carry on monitoring it.
Thank you, Amira. And I think the monitoring is also very important because you have to keep contact with your client. I mean, you are responsible to ensure that that product that you recommended and that the client accepted is still suitable to that client going forward, and reviewing the client's situation on an annual basis. Okay, so there's a few questions in the chat box that I think we can deal with. The first one is, Amira, is it legal for a financial planner to charge a consultation fee?
So financial planner, so every company will work differently. I know that there are financial planners who do charge consultation fees. As far as I know, it's not illegal to charge a consultation fee, but it's just not the norm in our industry because people won't pay, or people don't like to pay a consultation fee for a financial planner. So as far as I know, it is legal to charge a consultation fee. It's just not something that's very common in our industry.
If I can just come in, yeah, I agree. It is absolutely legal. You can, as a financial planner, you can determine how you're going to structure your remuneration model. Some planners use the consultation fee very well because some clients do feel that they would rather pay them a retainer type of fee than pay commission for a certain amount of time. Some clients, some financial planners get rewarded in terms of assets under management. Some of them get rewarded via commission. I think there is no wrong or right way. I think you need to, whatever you as a client do need to do is to insist on the financial planner explaining to you exactly what you are going to pay, for how long you are going to pay it. And the third question that our consumers sometimes forget to ask is, how will this affect, let's say I get a commission on a product as a financial planner. Is it going to affect myself as client's pocket should something happen to me? So, for example, there are certain instances where an initial commission gets paid on savings products, for example, and should the situation of the client change in a year or two where he or she maybe gets retrenched, then the consumer is the one who will have to stand in for some of those commissions that were paid. So I think the thing as consumer, what you have to ask is, what am I going to pay? And then Pumalele, I'm sorry if I've got your name incorrect, just made a very good comment in the chat that said you get what you pay for. And I think if Amira's comment where people aren't willing to pay for, in the past, the entire industry, because they worked on commission and clients didn't actually know that they were paying these fees, created a distrust of financial advice. And we are working very hard to get that right. And but still, if you want good financial advice, just as you would go to a doctor, you need to and pay that doctor to get the good advice. If you want the good advice, you're going to have to pay for the good financial advice. So Absolutely. Then Zuraida, do financial planners have a fiduciary duty? Amira, you want to answer this one?
I can.
Please do.
So financial advisors do have a fiduciary duty in the sense that they need to always make sure that that the type of product that they're selling to their client is correct. So Nikki, if I can just go back to where we spoke about financial advisors in the sixth step of the financial planning process, where you monitor. Financial advisors have a responsibility of reviewing their clients because they are being paid for it. So if you have taken out a product with a financial advisor, that means that advisor would have received commission. And because they are receiving commission, they have to see you at least once a year. So if your advisor is not seeing you and you have taken out products with that person, then you need to contact your advisor, or you need to change advisors, because an advisor has to see their client at least once a year, as if they are getting commission from that client. So if they are a non-commission paying client, and if nothing ever happened after the relationship, if no products were taken out, then it's okay. I mean, and also if it's a non-commission client, technically advisors don't need to see them, but I think it's just it's a good thing for an advisor to keep in touch with their clients, because even if they are a non-commission paying client, you don't know what's happened in that client's circumstances in a year. The client could be in a totally different financial position now than what they were a year ago. So maybe a year ago, they couldn't afford to take out a product, but now it's like a year and a half later, and they are in a better financial space. They are able to take it out, but you wouldn't know because you haven't contacted them. So it is vital for advisors to always be in contact with their clients, and all to make their clients aware that they can contact them at any time.
Absolutely. I think the basis of the basis of good financial advice is the relationship you have with your client.
Absolutely.
And the trust that your client have in you to give them the best suitable advice that is correct for the specific client. And I think if we can hammer on that, that is the most important. Then Zuraida has got another question. Can you please speak to the personal characteristics that makes a good saver? This is a very interesting question.
I don't know if I have the correct answer to this, but I'm going to try. I would think that the first thing is that you have to be very disciplined. If you're disciplined, then you will be a good saver, So if you're gonna splurge your money, or that you have X amount of extra income, and if you're not gonna take your saving, if you're not gonna make that important, then you're not gonna be a good saver. So I think that would be one. I'm just trying to think of what else, what other characteristics.
I also think for people who maybe don't have that discipline, this is once again where your financial advisor or can come in and hold you accountable. Because I know that especially if you look at the psychology of money and the way every one of us deals with and feels about money differently and deals with money differently. If you have got a plan in place where you say, I will be saving X amount every month because I want to reach the goal of going on a holiday in 5 years, for example, and you have frequent meetings with your financial planner, that financial planner, financial advisor is going to hold your hand and keep you responsible to make sure that you keep to that goal and save that money and not splurge on anything else. So I absolutely agree with Amira. I think discipline is the biggest thing, but not everybody is built like that. And we understand that. So this is where your financial advisor and financial planner can coach you in order to meet your objectives.
There's a saying by Warren Buffett that goes, do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving. And I think that would be the best way to be a good saver, although I think it might be a little bit difficult.
Agreed. Then Leletu has got also a good question. How would changes in legislation affect the financial plan? And she is specifically referring here to something like NHI and the two-pot system in retirement that is currently in draft. How would you as a financial planner deal with these type of changes? Amira?
Okay, so legislation does impact financial planning a lot. And especially when it comes to new regulations that have been set out, because clients tend to hear about it and then they want to know, now can I access my money? So I'm gonna go with the new retirement regulations. Clients want to know now, can they access their money? Can they have their money? And I think that when it comes to regulation, it gets brought out so quickly that there's not always enough time for changes to be made, or for advisors to be able to advise their clients correctly. There's a lot of things that take a lot of time. So, for example, RDR, I mean, it's been in the pipeline for so long. We've been going back and forth with it. But with this retirement, I mean, I feel like the minute clients hear about it, or they don't even understand fully what's going on, they come and they're like, okay, now what's going to happen now? Can I get my money now? So it makes things very difficult sometimes for clients. And how we deal with it is we literally just take it per client. So we tell the client, we will get back to you, we will do more research, and we will let you know how this is going to pan out. So if legislation hasn't been brought in yet and nothing has been finalized yet, then we tell the client that we will let you know once legislation has come into play and the rules have been set. This is what is going to happen, but we can only let you know at that time. I don't know if I've answered the question correctly. Was that
Yes.
the question, Nikki?
I think you did. And I want to agree with you. That is the importance of seeing your financial planner or financial advisor on a regular basis. Because as Amira indicated, the regulations, the tax changes, and I mean, at this point in time, we've got changes out on two-pot. There are changes proposed to things like the marriage bill that can affect your estate. There's new tax regulations coming in again. So there's quite a few moving parts at any time, and any of these changes can affect you as a client's financial plan and can affect the goals that you're working towards. So I think the most important thing is to keep in touch with your financial planner and financial advisor so that they can advise you exactly how those changes are going to affect your plan, are going to affect your situation, and can give you the correct advice. Now, I'm just thinking about something like two-pot that's going to come in, and we'll probably not know before probably, I'm guessing, November exactly what that is going to look like. I mean, we've got an idea because we saw the draft legislation, but we're probably not going to know by November at least. And every client that makes a withdrawal before retirement is going to be affected in certain instances in terms of saving for retirement, in terms of tax treatment, in terms of the entire financial plan. So I think it's important that you keep in touch with your find yourself a financial advisor, financial planner that's up to date with these things, that can advise you and that can take these changes and apply it to your situation.
So not all legislation that comes into effect is going to affect every single client, because if you don't have a retirement annuity, it's obviously not going to affect you. But clients always get so worked up the minute they hear that they might be a regulatory change or new regulation coming in. Clients get very worked up, and we get influx of questions, and how is it going to affect me, and is it going to affect me, and what do I do now? So that's why it is, like Nikki says, it is imperative that you keep in contact with your advisor at all times. So with this two-part system, you could be allowed to make a withdrawal from the savings part of it once every 12 months. But clients need to understand that that is going to have a tax implication. So it might not affect the first withdrawal, but it's going to affect the next one. And this is where your financial advisor needs to come in and say, okay, yes, but you do want this money, but you are going to be taxed on it, and this is what the taxation amount is going to be. Then between you and the advisor, you'll discuss it, and then ultimately the client will make the decision at the end of the day to say, okay, I'm willing to pay X amount of tax on here, or I'm going to rather look at another savings vehicle or another investment, or something like that. So there's a lot of consequences that go with it, and clients are not always aware of it. And that is why you need to always be fully informed before you make a decision.
Yes, I think that's the most important thing. And that is why your financial advisor and the relationship you have with that person is so important. I think that's the end of our questions. As I said, this program is fully developed and is available to if there's outside stakeholders that want us to come do workshops, please let us know. If any of our financial professionals online want to do a workshop with your community yourself, please let us know so that we can help you. And we will be making the workbook available for everybody online. So if there's no further questions, Amira, I want to say thank you very much for spending your time with us this afternoon. Also for everybody online, I hope that you enjoyed the session. And may you have a wonderful week. Thank you, Amira.
Thank you, Nikki, for making this so interactive, and to Rihanna for asking me to facilitate this. I absolutely enjoyed it, and this is something that I love to do. Rihanna knows very well. I'm all about financial literacy. I've been doing presentations like this with the FBI for quite some time now. I've also been doing presentations like this with varsities and with reses, because I feel it's so important for people of all ages to know about financial literacy. I mean, you're never too young, you're never too old to learn about it. So thank you to everybody who was here today and who attended the presentation. I really do appreciate your time. And if you would like me to facilitate a presentation like this for your company, or if you would just like more information about anything relating to financial planning or to wills, you're more than welcome to get my details from Rihanna. I'm sure she can share them. And I'm more than happy to help, and I'm more than willing to try and help.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.